for joining me. If you are new to my channel, hi, I'm Kat and I usually talk about true crime, conspiracies and all sorts of related things. If you are new to my channel, please make sure you hit the big red subscribe button below and also make sure you hit the notification bell so you know of any new videos I upload. For my returning subscribers and viewers, I would like to thank you all so much for all your continuous support and all the lovely comments I always read from you. This is what keeps me and my channel going. Thank you so much. So, it seems that I am on a roll here. Right, Carla? Yeah, I think so. I am on a roll and I'll keep it to social media. Today I want to talk to you about who killed Alexis Sharkey. Alexis was born on January 25th, 1994 and she grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania with her parents and two younger sisters. The Robinaults were a happy, supportive and close-knit family that Alexis loved very much. Her friends describe her as being a kind and generous soul who seemed to be addicted to learning and pursuing her goals. When she graduated from high school in 2012, she went to the University of Pittsburgh to study biology, nutrition and psychology with a long-term goal of pursuing a career in medicine. After she graduated at the top of her class, Alexis decided to take a break to travel and relax, and that's when she moved to Odessa, Texas. There she got a job at a Twin Peaks sports bar and quickly made new friends. That's when she met her future husband, Tom Sharkey. Tom was a regular customer who worked as a consultant in the oil field. He was very well traveled and the two hit it off instantly. Even though he was in his mid-40s and Alexis in her early 20s, neither of them seemed to mind their age gap, and their fairy tale romance began. They'd post all about their travels on social media. At some point, Alexis got tired of working non-stop and decided to quit her job at Twin Peaks to become a salesperson for Monet hair care products. Alexis had a natural gift for selling and recruiting people, and she quickly moved up the ranks to become an executive director in early 2020. She gradually grew her Instagram and really started attracting an active following. Her winning formula was the fact that she used her selling skills and knowledge in biology to promote Monet products and the lifestyle of its sales family. Full of travel adventures and her astonishing beauty, her feed quickly drew interest and people started looking at Alexis as an influencer. Although she preferred to call herself a businesswoman and a mentor, it was clear that her posts on Instagram influenced people to join or buy from Monet. By the summer of 2019, Tom and Alexis were already engaged, and they decided to move to Colorado. They traveled all around the area and they looked really happy and in love. A few months later, they got married in December 2019 and moved once more to Houston, Texas. Yet again, Alexis was quick to make friends at a new place. She formed a loyal group of girlfriends she met through a mobile app and they all loved spending time together. They also started a group chat to keep in touch where Alexis was very active. Although she was newly married, Alexis rarely took Tom to her friends' gatherings. In fact, she didn't even talk much about him while she was with them. Then, November 2020 came along and things sadly took a turn for the worse. At the beginning of the month, Alexis went to Tulum, Mexico with her friends and surprisingly, Tom didn't join her. When she came back, she started making her holiday plans as Thanksgiving was right around the corner. She spoke to her mom on the phone and told her that she won't be going home for Thanksgiving, but that she would certainly visit for Christmas. Her family thought it was really weird that Alexis stopped visiting as often as she once did. In fact, it had been almost a year since they last saw her. However, they were excited to see her in December, but sadly, they never did. A few days before she was murdered, on Thanksgiving morning, November 26th, Alexis briefly texted with her mom. They wished each other happy Thanksgiving and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. However, instead of spending the holiday with her husband Tom, Alexis actually went over to her friend Tanya's house to celebrate with her girlfriends. She stayed there until around 12 in the night, when a friend picked her up to go to a bar, where they stayed until about 3 a.m.
I do not mean to be disrespectful to anyone I talk about in today's video. The video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The information I collect is from the internet. I compile this information, make a video, and from this you guys are more than welcome to draw your own conclusions. Thank you.
Alexis then texted Tanya that she would come back to her place to grab her things, but Tanya was already asleep, so she didn't respond. Either way, Alexis went back to her friend's house to get her car and allegedly went home. The next day, on November 27th, was Black Friday, which meant it would be a really busy day for Alexis and Monet. Her colleagues started sharing their sale posts early in the morning, but Alexis was strangely silent, which was really strange since she was the one who was always encouraging people to use social media for sales. At around 5:30 p.m., there was a text message in the group chat sent from Alexis' phone. She wanted to go out in the evening and was asking about her friend's plans. Because it was Thanksgiving weekend, however, the girls were already busy, so they made plans to meet the next day for a girls' night. Those brief group chat messages were the last time anyone heard from Alexis. She didn't post anything on social media the entire time. This was very suspicious, because Alexis would post on her Instagram account a few times a day, and she would always be active in the group chat. A few hours later, around 11 p.m., Tom texted one of Alexis' friend's boyfriend, John, to ask if he heard from Alexis. It was strange that Tom texted instead of calling, considering the urgency of the situation. However, after the text, John immediately called Tom. That's when Tom told him that Alexis was missing and the two of them had gotten into a fight before she stormed out of their house barefoot, and he hadn't seen her since. She climbed over the fence and there was a black car that had picked her up. That phone call lasted 45 minutes, during which time Tom told John everything that allegedly happened before Alexis left their home. But Tom would later change his story quite a few times throughout the investigation. At some point, he told police that Alexis was wearing sweats and running shoes when she left the house. In one version, he said she left her phone behind, and in another, he said she took it with her, and he used an app to track her down. He had followed her around in a black car until he eventually lost signal. Now guys, this last version of Tom's story with him following the other car sounds to me a bit like a movie scene, if I'm honest. But again, I am still undecided on what to think. The whole time Tom and John spoke on the phone, John felt like something was really off. After failing to find Alexis, Tom said he pulled into a gas station to clear his head, calm down, and plan his next move. He allegedly stayed there for 2 hours before he started calling people asking about Alexis. I mean, I don't know what can you do at a gas station in a car for 2 hours. That's beyond me. I don't know. 2 hours seems a bit like too long of a time, or maybe an exaggerated length of time. I don't know. The next day, Alexis' friends started texting in the group chat to make plans for their girls' night. Everyone was active except for Alexis, and that got her friends worried. When they saw that she hasn't been posting anything on social media, they were alarmed. But it wasn't until Alexis didn't show up for their movie date that they realized something was wrong. It wasn't really like Alexis to skip out on plans. It wasn't like her not to reply to texts or post on social media. She is attached to her phone. She is a social media queen. She is an influencer. She works from her phone. One of her best friends, Tanya Ricardo, said. Her friends ended up calling Alexis' mother, who already knew her daughter was missing as she had been on the phone with Tom. Her friends eventually filed a missing persons report and started posting on social media, hoping to find Alexis. Sadly, at the same time, As her friends and family were looking for Alexis, her naked body had already been found dead by Houston city workers, dumped by the side of a service road just a few miles from her home. When Tom was brought in to identify the body, her family still had hoped Alexis was alive because her phone was still on. Unfortunately, Tom confirmed the body belonged to his wife, Alexis Sharkey.
1 week ago, the body of 26-year-old Alexis Sharkey was found. Janelle Buddha spoke with the city employee who found her body and the mother who's desperate for answers.
For John Richardson, it's a Saturday morning he'll never forget.
It plays back in my head. You know, it's been playing back in my head every day.
He was at work for the City of Houston Solid Waste when Richardson says he got a call from an employee.
He said he thought he seen a body or a mannequin, so he wasn't for sure. He wasn't going to stop because he was kind of, you know he was scared or whatever case may be. So he asked me to come out there and check it out.
So as his supervisor, Richardson went to check it out and still can't believe what they found.
So as we was driving, we could see the feet, so we got out and looked, and there it was. She was laying there, deceased. She was no clothes on, and I just got on the phone and I called 911.
What Richardson didn't realize at the time, the body he had just discovered was 26-year-old Alexis Sharkey.
She was a beautiful, fun ray of light to be around, and I can't understand it.
Her mom, Stacy Robinaults, spoke to us by phone.
I think that's why it's so surreal for the family, because we cannot grasp on why harm would be done to her.
Saying even though it's been agonizing,
We're just trapped in the waiting.
they're just waiting for police to do their work.
I talk to the detectives every day, and they assure me that they are, working along and that they are reviewing and talking to people. And so I know that they're working along. To me, 5 days feels like an eternity, and to them, I'm sure they're just, getting rolling.
Police still have not determined a cause of death in the case, but in her heart, Robinault fully believes someone did this to her daughter.
But I guess my question would be why? Why would you do something so horrific to her? What was the ultimate gain? What was gained from that? Because all I know is tremendous loss.
In Houston, Janelle Buddha, KHOU 11 News.
Alexis was dead. There were no signs of struggle on her body, and there was no apparent cause of death. At that time, it wasn't clear how she died, and it wouldn't be until January 2021, 2 months after her death, that the medical examiner would conclude she died by strangulation. On 28th of November 2020, city workers spotted Alexis Sharkey's nude body and called 911. Her body had no visible wounds. Alexis' body was found just a couple of miles away from the house she shared with her husband, Tom Sharkey. The medical examiner confirmed the cause of death was strangulation, and the case officially became a homicide. So, who killed Alexis Sharkey and why? Did the husband do it? Shortly after news of her death started circling around, details of her relationship with Tom came to light. Her 4 close friends, Tanya Ricardo, 32 years old, Desiree Jacobs, 29 years old, Kendra Martin, 33 years old, and Chelsea Tambro, 33 years old, told how, in the months before her disappearance, Alexis had confided in them how the couple were in the process of separating and her demeanor had changed. One of Alexis' friends came forward saying that things weren't going well in that marriage. Alexis had allegedly told her that her marriage was failing and she was afraid for her life. According to that friend, Alexis seemed petrified. It soon became clear that Alexis was planning to divorce Tom and that the couple had even split their bank accounts shortly before she went missing. The divorce papers were allegedly drawn up and ready to be signed as well, but that's not all. On Alexis' trip to Tulum at the beginning of November, she met this guy named Sebastian. He was a Houston-based DJ, and the two really hit it off. her friends gave mixed statements as to whether Alexis and Sebastian hooked up or not during that trip, but they all agreed there was definitely something going on between them. In fact, it was Sebastian who picked Alexis up after the Thanksgiving dinner with her friends and took her to a bar until 3 a.m. After the coroner's office confirmed Alexis had been strangled, investigators began looking more into Tom and his past, trying to find clues as to whether he did it or not. In the only interview he gave to the press, Tom said that Alexis wasn't who everyone else thought she was. To others, she was happy and carefree, but with him she was stressed and worried, and he often had to comfort and bring her back up. He also said he told her not to drive intoxicated when talking about the night he last saw her. He denied that they had gotten into a fight that night. Electronic forensics will play a major role in the investigation, as police were actively looking into the devices of everyone who communicated with Alexis in her last days to try and put together a timeline of what really happened. Unsurprisingly, the strongest theory is that Tom killed Alexis, which many of her friends believe to be true. They came forward saying that Alexis would often confide in them about her husband and his abusive, controlling and manipulative nature. He'd sometimes strangle her for fun, and many speculate that this may have been the case when she died, especially if this was a sexual thing for the couple. They think that he may have gotten too far. Of course, Tom has denied these accusations, including the part about their divorce, and that's pretty much where the investigation is at right now. There are other theories as well, honestly. Some think that her friends did it, and others believe the DJ may have done it, but the main suspect, according to the general public, continues to be Tom. Tom Sharkey mourned his wife on social media and criticized those who believed he was involved in her death. "You all should be ashamed of yourselves. I have been assisting the deputies and making phone calls to find out what happened to my wife," he wrote on Facebook. "Next time, stop and think and realize you don't know it all." End of quote. He has since made his posts private. Anyone with information on Alexis Sharkey's death is asked to call the Houston Police Department Homicide Division at 713-308-3600 or Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Okay, so I want to talk a bit about what my view is on this case. But before I start doing that, I just want to make sure that everybody understands this is simply my opinion and these are the theories that I formed by myself. I don't have any proof of anything. All I know is what is already in the public domain, so I'm not trying to accuse anyone here. I'm simply talking about my opinions on the case. Okay, first off, I'm not going to start with the obvious, Tom. I'm going to start with how well do we actually know her friends, Alexis' friends? How well did Alexis really know her friends? They met online on a friends app called Bumble BFF, and they then started physically meeting up. I am not entirely sure how many of her friends she had before adding her new friends from the app in the group, but in a sense, this sort of gives me some Riverdale vibes, you know, Riverdale, the Netflix series. A friend commits a crime, the rest of the group are helping to cover it up. They make a pact of silence, never to talk about it again, and they try to pinpoint the crime on somebody else. It strikes me so similar to Riverdale series. I don't know, and I'm only saying it, yeah, maybe people might think, oh, she's crazy, she's derailed, she's deranged, whatever. But the reason why I'm even mentioning Riverdale is because we are part of a social media culture, and watching all these series on Netflix and all these shows and everywhere, and nowadays most of us are glued to our phones and the technology and everything, that it it can be possible some inspiration is taken from different places when it comes to crimes like this. Honestly, I am seeing this as a viable possibility. Seriously. But obviously, all I'm talking about here is theories, just my opinion. But then, you also have Tom Sharkey, Alexis' husband. His constant change of stories, and in most situations, this indicates a lie, this indicates guilt. You don't change the story if it's the truth, right? There's only one truth, so nothing needs to be changed there. So, like usually, I'm asking my own husband's opinion on it, and he tells me, what if Tom, which he made a good point here, what if actually Tom forgot what Alexis was wearing after they had the argument? And I'll put it like this, in the heat of the moment, he could have walked away from the argument, she left, or maybe he was too affected by the same argument that he just didn't notice what she was wearing. Can that be a possibility? I think that can be another possibility as well. I mean, when you are enraged and when you reflect on the things that you both said in the heat of the argument, you don't pay attention to what your partner in the same fight is wearing at that particular moment. You know that sometimes this is what happens with me actually. The more you try to remember something, the more you suggest to yourself, and you sort of create a new memory, but unwillingly. Like, for example, let's say I am arguing with my husband and he leaves in a hurry. I'm so consumed by my anger in that moment that I just don't know what he was wearing. It's not like you think that you need to remember what the partner is wearing at that particular time, right? And then he doesn't return. So I start thinking, what was he wearing? Then I remember that the same morning he was wearing a green top, let's say. Then I suggest to myself that he left in the same green top after the argument. Because he must have been, right? He was wearing the top in the morning, so it's probably the same. But how sure am I in that particular moment? What if he changed in the meantime and I didn't even realize, or I didn't notice? Mind you, my husband shaves and I notice only 2 days later. So these things can happen. However, Tom seems a bit off to me. But for some reason, I'm not quite sure that he did it. There's just something here that makes me think that perhaps he's not guilty. If they were in the process of divorcing, although I'm not sure how real these claims are, but let's say they are for a moment, then he wouldn't kill her out of jealousy, would he? He wouldn't have any reason to, in my opinion. They're already getting ready to divorce. I can't really argue he would do it out of jealousy, because she was an influencer on Instagram and a lot of people saw her photos, a lot of men saw her photos and how beautiful she was. They met in the bar that she worked at, Twin Peaks, where she would wear daring outfits, bras and bikinis with a lot of men around her. So Tom already saw that and he knew what he can expect. I think that for Tom, Alexis was something he could show off with. Being almost 50, I think he was maybe feeling a bit insecure, and having a partner like Alexis boosted his own confidence. So that's why I really doubt that he was jealous. Yes, another thing is when her friends mentioned that Alexis told them Tom was being aggressive, controlling, possessive and jealous and so many other things. Right, I will tell you one thing here, which I know 100%. A husband who is controlling will not allow his wife to be a social media influencer, will not allow his wife to get dressed the way she wants, will not allow his wife to go wherever she wants, whenever she wants, will not allow his wife to meet up with friends without him being there, without him constantly checking her on the phone, as in calling her, texting her every minute of every single hour she's gone. I'm saying this because I remember very well in high school I had a colleague who had her first and only boyfriend with whom she ended up marrying, and he was exactly the type of guy who was controlling, to the point, so controlling over her, to the point that even when she went outside to take out the rubbish bin, and to throw it in the communal bin outside, she would have to take her phone with her, and he would be on the phone with her to make sure that she is not late to come back, because he knew how long it takes for her to get out of the flat and go to the communal bin to throw out the rubbish bin, right? The rubbish bag. And if she was 5 minutes later, he would start an argument with her. Where did she go? Whom did she speak with? So this is an example of a controlling person. Tom here, he was not controlling at all. I'm not saying, yes, it is my opinion, but I also think it's a well-known fact that when a man is controlling over the relationship, the partner cannot do any single move without him being somehow involved. Was he manipulative? I don't know, but even if he was manipulative, according to his ex-wife, even if he was manipulative, that doesn't account for him wanting to murder his wife. First of all, he was showing off with her that because she was young, she was beautiful, she was pretty, a lot of people, she was very popular, so he was proud of her and of her achievement. Let's not forget that he was a director and she was very young. And how many young people of her age achieve this? To earn so much money in such a short length of time and to achieve this. Some people, they go throughout their whole life, and when they are old, they don't achieve this. Yet, she was one who did. She did very well for herself, and I'm pretty sure that her husband was proud of her. And then he was also in the oil field, right? A consultant in the oil field, which meant that he was always on business trips. She loved that, Alexis loved that. So she would always go with him. They would always be together whenever he had those work trips. If he would be controlling, why would he always take her with him? This is one thing which I don't believe that the friends are saying is the truth. I don't believe. I think that one of the friends is lying. I think that at least one of the friends knows more than they say they do. This is my opinion. Then I'm also looking at the way Alexis' body was dumped and left. This reminds me a bit of the Black Dahlia. Alexis' body was left on the side of the road naked. Her feet were visible from the road. She was strangled, which can possibly mean her killer faced her and looked her in the eyes as she was dying. Which brings the following to mind. Not only that she knew the person, because there were no struggle marks on her body, but I think that she was left naked on purpose to shame her, to embarrass her, to show the whole world that she is not worthy of anything more. But there was also care taken to make sure that she was clean. I think that there was a whole process involved there. Her body looked like a mannequin. It was left like that on display. On social media, on Instagram, being such a beautiful woman, even my husband was saying that even in the Instagram photos, she looked like a mannequin. And I think that whoever did this to her, they were trying to transpose what she looked like in real life, how she looked like dead. But there is an extra element here, the nakedness. They were trying to shame her. They were trying to shame her. And the body was left looking like a mannequin. It was left like that on display. Why? Why was it left on display? You know, like you see a mannequin in a shop who is at the window on display for everybody to see what the mannequin is wearing. Well, in this particular point, her body was left looking like a mannequin to see how she looks. Not what her clothing look like, but how she looks. Completely naked and exposed. Which brings me to my next possible theory. We are focusing on our own theories on Tom and possibly Alexis' friends, but I'm questioning something else here. Did it ever cross your mind that perhaps a completely unrelated person or unknown individual to anyone of Alexis' friends or family could have done it? Alexis had more than 20,000 followers on her Instagram account. We could consider them 20k fans. Out of those 20k fans, I'm pretty sure there was one or two of the obsessed kind, stalking kind of fans. Could it not be that one of those fans could have been a killer, preying on his next victim? She was an influencer. Alexis was popular, she was gorgeous looking, and she could have been a prey to a total stranger. And nowadays it's easier than ever with social media for a stalker to stalk their next victim and to find out exactly where they live and to do as they please with them. Because once we are on social media, we are public and open to everybody. Then also I am thinking, if it was one of her friends, which I am a bit concerned about, because I think that one of her friends knows something more than they say. If it was one of her friends, this can explain why there were no struggle marks on her body, because she knew her killer. And if it was one of her friends, the reason why her body was left like a mannequin naked was to expose her, to humiliate her in public, to embarrass her, to shame her, because of jealousy. Did you ever get a friend who was so jealous of you and your achievements that they will go behind your back and they will speak to other people or look at her? Oh, why can I not be like her? Oh, I want to be like her. What is she doing? God knows what she's doing to earn those money. You know what I'm saying? These kind of things. This can be a viable possibility as well. This can be a viable possibility. And then this would take me back to my Riverdale vibes theory that I mentioned about. So please think about that as well for a moment. Honestly, these are all just theories. We just don't have enough information to paint a picture. My best bet is either Tom, although he's innocent until proven guilty, or the stranger, or perhaps one of her friends. I mean, it's still an open investigation. I'm quite sure that the police has much more information than what's out there. I also know that Alexis and Tom had a Ring doorbell at their house, which has a camera. So I'm pretty sure that everything will be on the camera, and everything could potentially be revealed later on, as it still is an open investigation. So again, I'm quite sure that the police has more information than what they are releasing, and I'm really hoping that they will find the killer soon, so Alexis' family and friends can find some closure. Please tell me, what do you think in the comments below? Please tell me, who do you think killed Alexis Sharkey? And I have reached the end of my video. Thank you so much for staying with me. Please make sure, if you haven't done so already, hit the big red subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you know of any new videos I upload. For now, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and take care. Bye bye.